guys, welcome back. Unless it's your first time here, I'm the Northwest Fisherman Chris, and today we're going to be talking about the 6th Sense axle swinging jigs. Okay, so I got the swim jig, and then new that just came out that we're also going to talk about is the Underspin. Okay, and then the regular jig heads. So I got a couple sizes of these. So what kind of makes the axle swim jig kind of neat, and just all of these in general, and one of the reasons why I kind of really like them versus like traditional swim jigs, is the way that you rig the bait onto it. Okay, let's shake this guy out here. And this swim jig in particular is candy bluegill. Okay, so we're just gonna shake it out a little bit. All right. So you, wow, that really didn't help it. Okay. Anyway, so you've got your nice painted jig head, which these look amazing. Super happy with the jig heads. The skirts are awesome, and they just get better as time goes on. They don't really deteriorate. They don't get crispy. They don't get weird, even if you leave the baits on. But what kind of makes it really cool is, if you notice, the hook isn't really attached to the jig head in a solid sense, okay? And how you rig your bait onto it is you've got this corkscrew right here, okay? It's kind of free floating on its own. So I'm going to go ahead and rig this up for you. This is a 3.8 inch Kitech bluegill flash. I really love this. This is the Swing Impact fat one. I really like this. I really like Kitech swim baits. They're super salty. They're a little soft, I will admit that. But they're super salty. They have amazing action. And, well, guys, they work. So you just kind of screw that on there like that. It's a little bit of a pain to get it started, but it works out. Once you get it started, it goes right on there. So you got the hook. Your bait is free swinging, because the actual soft plastic isn't. It's also separate from the jig head. So what you do is you measure it out where you want to be. You put that hook right through it, okay? And then you can text pose your bait just like that, okay? It's weedless. Like this is you can just pretty much just throw this straight into the lily pads and bring her back weedless. Like this is very, very, very weedless, and I have a tremendous amount of success. I actually bought another one of these candy ones because I snapped one off. But it's weedless. It's a great bait. This is a great combo. I really love throwing this. The Kitech just pairs with it perfectly. And I mean, you can use a 6 cent bait. You can use the whale, or they have another. I forgot. Okay, I'm on the spot, guys. Because I really do, like I love the whale, but the Kitech, it's hard to put a Kitech down. I mean, you can't really hate on the Kitech. Okay. So we're gonna set that down for a moment. I also picked that swinging jig up in 2 other colors. Really great, because I have a lot of luck with bluegill colors and perch colors and like rainbow trout colors, because I'm in Washington. So this is green pumpkin gill. So it's kind of like a green pumpkin, but it gets lighter, and it's got a lot of like bluish green flake on it. Super excited about that one. I haven't had that one before. And then I got this one because I haven't had this one before either. This is 4K bluegill. The jig head's the exact same paint, rigs the same way. The skirts are the big difference, and the color patterns on this are wicked. Yeah. But that's not really what this video is about, because these aren't new. These have been out, I think, a year now. Maybe a year and a half, something like that. Maybe less, I could be wrong. But let's get to the axle underspin. Okay, because this is one of the things that this video is actually about. So the axle underspin, it's the same exact idea. Wow, let's see if I can get this out of here. It's the same exact idea as the axle swinging jig. Okay, still got that swinging hook, so when the fish is thrashing around, it's freer, and this thing is incredibly weedless. Okay, so you've got your corkscrew. It's obviously exposed because there's no skirt on it. So let's go ahead and rig this up. We're going to throw another 3.8-inch Kitech on it. Same one that's in here, the super awesome bluegill flash that I like. This is actually a little bit better than the regular swinging jig. They changed it. So this corkscrew has a point in it. So you just stick it and then twist it. Yeah. That's better. Yeah, that's just better, actually. I actually really like that better. Okay. So there we go. All threaded down on there, right to the jig head. I mean, I could bite the end of this off so it fills that gap a little bit better, but it's okay. So we'll just take it right where we want it. Straight through the back, just like you would if you were Texas rigging or anything of that nature. And you're going to bring that forward, Tex-pose it, rigged. It's that easy. Like, and that's very, very weedless. And any fish that's going to hit this, they're going to mull that, and it's going to do its own job. Because I believe this is it's a 4/0 hook. Like, that's a good, nice, heavy wire hook. And this thing's only 3/8 of an ounce. This is great. I really do like this. This is fantastic. Okay. Now, how we wound up in this situation. I don't know if I forgot or I wasn't quite paying attention that all of the axle jig heads came in like 3-packs. So, I got the 1/8 with a 3/0 hook. That's dope. 3/8 with a 4/0. I got the 1/2 ounce with the 5/0. And then I got a 1/4 ounce with a 4/0. So you can just kind of mix and match. Like if you wanted to throw like a 3/3 Kitech, the 3/8 Kitech, or like a 3/3, you could throw that on your 1/8 ounce, or even your 1/4 ounce. That'd be absolutely fine. 3/8, you can definitely throw on the 1/4 ounce and the 3/8 ounce, no problem. Both 4/0 hooks, good to go. And you could even step up to maybe like a 4.5-inch swim bait. Okay, on both of these. Now, if you're going to throw something bigger, you go bigger. I have a soft plastic in mind for this that I'm going to grab later on in the video. But, so I got these jig heads for a couple reasons. One, there's going to be situations where I'm not going to want to throw something with this kind of a larger profile, okay? But I'm not necessarily going to want to throw an underspin because I'm not going to want that added flash. I'm going to want something a little bit stealthier. So that's kind of why I wanted to get the actual jig heads, is because they're weedless, they look great, they're high quality, and they're versatile. And I'm going to show you kind of where I was going with this in my head. Okay? So, I mean, you could also just Texas rig whatever, and just turn that on there. I'm right-handed. one-handed. I don't know why I'm doing this backwards. Okay. So just throw that on there. Rig it up exactly the same way that we did the other ones. Push it through the back. Pull it up. Texpose it. Okay. That's not my greatest one. But there you go. Subtle. Low key. This is for your pressured water. This is for like your super clear water. There you go. That's awesome. Now, also, the other thing about this is, and I thought about this like almost immediately when I saw these, I'm like, oh, that's incredible. So, a lot of times I fish a pegged Texas rig, okay? And I don't want the weight to slide because of whatever reason, and plus I can slide it up to make it Carolina, or I can separate them to make it unpegged, essentially. But then I saw these, and I was like, you know what? There's so many options you can do that, because now it's like a just strictly better jig head. This is the Hogwalla. This is 6 cents also. This is one of my like favorite creature baits. Okay, so this is a 1/4 ounce jig head here. And this is kind of where I was going with this in my head when I saw these and ordered them. Okay? The fish don't actually care, I don't think, that the head looks like a fish, but the body is not going to look like a fish. I don't think they're going to care. But what I have here is a free swinging 4/0 hook, 1/4 ounce, basically like a Texas rig. And because I swim this bait anyway, I don't really care that it's more of a swim jig style. Plus, I'm not throwing like pieces of tungsten and stuff like that, and it's less likely that the weight's going to come down, beat up my knot. I'm going to have to retie it, whatever. I don't have to do that. Like, I don't have to do that. Okay? And this is just kind of where I went with this. Especially after I saw I got the new Z-Man, I forget what it's called now. But essentially it's a self-weighted Texas rig, EWG style hook. But you can only use it with elastic baits because it's got a belly weight on it, which is nice. It's really great, but you can't throw like other soft plastics on it. Okay? Which, I mean, I really love Z-Man baits, but you can't do it. With this, you can, and it's still just as weedless as everything else. Like, it's weedless. It's got an extra free added movement, just maybe not quite as much as you would have with a normal Texas rig, but I like the option of being able to throw creature baits on it. And even with like this larger the 5/0 1/2 ounce guy, I can throw something really big like a 9-10 inch worm that I really want to get down there. I like it. I don't know if you guys are gonna like that theory, but I like it. But I got one more thing, because we have one more jig head here, and I really like the Hula Grub from Yamamoto. Like, the Hula Grub, it's been around a long time, and it just works. So, if you guys haven't seen Hula Grub, very kind of, well, if you haven't seen one, it's kind of a weird looking bait. So you got these little tendrils back here, little ribbon tail, little kickers here, okay? And you got this weird, like, skirt-like front here, okay? Seeing where I'm going with this, guys. I don't know. This might be too heavy. And a lot of people, when they fish a hula grub, they'll fish it on, like, just a jig head or whatever, and, like, they'll swim it, but they'll also drag it, but, like, you can basically fish a hula grub however your little heart desires. But this idea, this is a little bit big, yeah, so this is definitely something to throw on that smaller quarter ounce with that 3/0 hook. To expose it. Look at that. And then you can just swim the hula grub. And all of its weirdness that just works because it's a hula grub. Okay? Like, I might be overthinking this, but when I saw these jig heads, like, I know 6th Sense quality, like, I don't break their hooks. I've only ever broken one 6th Sense hook, and that was because I sat on it. I'll be honest, that's the only time I've ever broke a 6th Sense hook. And just all their stuff, I just find it to be very good quality for the money. And look at this silly thing. Like, I really cannot wait to go throw this. Like, this really makes me happy. This is super exciting. Now, the only thing that I kind of wish that they would have done with these jig heads, because we're all going to do the same exact thing with these jig heads. Now, some people are going to be like, oh, well, after you fish for a while, you just know the weights. Yeah, that's true. But also at the same time, too, when you're in the heat of the moment, you look at something and you're like, especially if you have it pre-rigged, you're like, is that quarter? Is that eighth? The only downfall for me is that they didn't print on the jig head somewhere. Well, at least on this 1/4 ounce one, the weight of it. That's the only thing I can knock on this. But, yeah. What they intended? Like, where I'm going with this. Like, I think this is great, guys. I really think this is very viable. Like, I've thrown, like, larger, like, creature bait plastics on swim jigs before. But I always kind of felt like it looked kind of dumb with the skirt. But I also didn't want to rip the skirt off of a perfectly good swim jig. I would if the swim jig was kind of, not great. Or it was getting older and beat up. But by that time, too, like, usually the hook, like, you can file it and sharpen it, but it's usually not quite the same anymore. But yeah, this is the Axle family from 6th Sense. I'm impressed. Like, this is what they started with, and I really, really love this jig. Like, this is a great swim jig, and I really like throwing swim jigs. I like throwing underspins. And I really like the fact that I've got a good, high-quality underspin. Like, this thing even has a ball bearing swivel, which, I mean, at this point in time, that's pretty standard to be hardware on baits, but I still see regular swivels on blades for other baits. I'm impressed overall with this, but I am probably the happiest with these kind of dumb jig heads, just because I want to do this to them. It might just be me. I don't know. I'm going to throw everything on these. Like, I really can't wait to throw a 9-inch worm on this. And that's always kind of been a big thing, because, like, if I'm in a Carolina rig, that's one thing if I'm in a Carolina rig. But if I'm like, oh, I'm just going to Texas rig, so instead of taking all the time to get the weight out, get the clacker, get all the stuff out, to put the Texas rig together, and then rig it all up, bam. And even at that, I feel like this is easier to get your bait off rather than tracing it back around the whole hook. I know that some of you are going to be like, oh, well, that's really not a big deal, but it's kind of one of those, like, little things that I think about irrationally for absolutely no reason. But I really like this corkscrew lock, and plus you don't have to worry about it pulling down. Like, this, this can't pull down. Like, these, it's not pulling down. It can't. It can't. Like, even on the swim jig. And that was one of the things that I really, really loved about this swim jig when it came out, because that can't go anywhere. Yeah, it can come on text post or whatever, but you just fix it real quick if it does move. But without that extra weight of the hook, not really weight of the hook, but the extra girth of the hook in there, kind of beating it up and stretching out the plastic, you don't have that with a screw lock. I love the Divine swim jigs. I just feel like the Axel swim jig is better, because this is as weaveless as I want it to be. If I don't want this to be weaveless anymore, it's not weaveless anymore. If I want it to be 110% weaveless, it's 110% weaveless. Like, I'm probably gonna have to actively try to snag this. Like, bounce this off of docks, whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. This, I like the Axel swim jigs. And I'm really happy that they came out with the jig heads. They've got 3 colors. I think the other one's a shad. Of course, all of mine I got in the baby bluegill. Don't really ask me why. Just the options were shad, baby bluegill, or raw, and basically everything else I really get. Like, for the most part, I have so much luck with bluegill colored baits. Why not? I mean, if it really bothers me, I can just spray paint it black. Like, or insert whatever color I might want to spray paint it. And, yeah, and you don't even have to really swim these. Like, you can throw stick bait on this, and then just fish it like normal. Whatever. I'm stoked. Like, I know I blabbed on for a while about this, but I'm really excited about these. I'm super pumped. All right, I gotta stop. So I'm gonna let you guys go. It's getting warm outside. I'm excited to use these. Pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn happening all over the country. Everybody's going through that right now. It's getting warm outside. Water temps are screaming up there into the, like, perfect area. So it's a perfect time to get out there. FAFO. Fish around and find out. Take care, guys. Peace.